You shouldn't have opened that door, Piccola. The voice cut through the darkness like broken glass scraping across concrete. Cynthia's flashlight shook in her hand. The beam jerked across the cellar, catching something in the corner. Something that shouldn't be there. Stay with me, because what's coming next will absolutely blow your mind. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and comment where you're watching from. Your support helps us bring more powerful stories. And trust me, tomorrow I'm dropping another one you won't want to miss. Now let's dive back in. A man, chained to a rusted radiator like an animal. Her breath caught in her throat. The light trembled over his face. Bruised, swollen. One eye nearly shut from the damage. Blood, dried and fresh, covered his torn white shirt. Rope bound his chest so tight she could see it cutting into his skin. His muscular frame was bent, broken, but his eyes were still burning. Dark tattoos covered his right arm from shoulder to wrist. Roses, symbols she'd seen in the news. Italian symbols. Mafia symbols. Oh God, what is this? The smell hit her next. Sweat, blood, infection, something dying in the dark. Her heart hammered against her ribs, so hard it hurt. She took a step back. Her cleaning cart rattled behind her. Too loud. Everything was too loud. Who are you? She whispered. Her voice didn't sound like her own. The man's chapped lips pulled into something that might have been a smile once. Now it just looked like pain. Someone who's supposed to be dead, he rasped. His voice was rough, like he'd been screaming for days. And now you've seen me. Now you know I'm not. Cynthia's hands went numb. The flashlight nearly slipped from her fingers. This was supposed to be simple. Clean the empty estate. Get paid. Go home to her sister. That's it. That's all it was supposed to be. The realtor had been so casual. Place has been empty for months. Just needs a deep clean before the new owners take over. Easy money. Now, there was a man chained in the basement. A man with mafia tattoos. A man who looked like he'd been tortured for weeks. She should run. She should leave. She should pretend she never opened this door. But his shoulder, the wound there was infected. She could see it even in the dim light. Green at the edges. Swollen. Festering. He wouldn't last another day like this. I need to call someone, she heard herself say. You need a hospital. No. The word came out sharp. Desperate. His good eye fixed on her with an intensity that made her freeze. You call anyone, we both die. You understand? Both of us. But they're watching this house. He shifted, and the chains rattled. Pain flashed across his face. The men who did this. They're waiting for me to die. If they know someone found me. He swallowed hard. They'll kill you. They'll kill your family. Anyone who knows I'm alive. Cynthia's stomach dropped. Her sister, little Priya in the hospital bed, hooked up to machines, fighting for her life. How do you know I have family? Her voice came out barely above a whisper. The man's expression softened, just slightly. I don't, but everyone has someone they love. Someone they'd do anything to protect. He paused, watching her. Am I wrong? She couldn't answer. Couldn't move. Her mind was racing. Then, from somewhere above them, a door slammed. Cynthia's blood turned to ice. Footsteps. Heavy. Confident. Moving across the floor, directly above the basement. The man's face went white beneath the bruises. Not fear. Something worse than fear. Recognition. Hide, he hissed. Now. Behind the water heater. Don't make a sound. Don't even breathe. What? Now. The footsteps reached the top of the basement stairs. Cynthia killed her flashlight. Darkness swallowed everything. She scrambled behind the old water heater, squeezing into the narrow gap, her heart trying to claw its way out of her chest. Her cleaning cart sat abandoned in the middle of the floor. Evidence. Proof someone had been down here. The basement door opened. Light spilled down the wooden stairs. Harsh. Fluorescent. A man descended. Expensive shoes clicking on each step. Slow. Deliberate. Like he had all the time in the world. Through the gap beside the water heater, Cynthia could see him. Tall. Handsome. Tailored suit that probably cost more than she made in 6 months. Dark hair slicked back. A face that belonged on magazine covers. And eyes. Cold gray eyes that swept across the basement like a predator scanning for prey. Those eyes landed on the cleaning cart. He stopped. Head tilting slightly. Interesting, he said softly. His voice was smooth, educated, nothing like the broken rasp of the man in chains. I wasn't expecting company today. He moved toward the corner where the chain man sat. Cynthia held her breath until her lungs burned. Still breathing, brother? The well-dressed man crouched down, close enough to touch. I'm almost impressed. Most men would have died from infection by now. Brother? Lorenzo. The chain man's voice was pure hatred. Come to finish it. Lorenzo smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. Not yet. You're still useful to me, chained up down here. Keeps you out of the way while I convince the family you're dead. He reached out, patting his brother's bruised cheek with mock affection. Though I have to admit, you're lasting longer than I expected. The Lion of Lombardy, still fighting. The Lion of Lombardy. Cynthia's mind raced. She'd heard that name. On the news. In whispers at the bus stop. Enrico Lettier. The missing Mafia boss. The man every news outlet said was dead. And his brother, Lorenzo Lettier. The one who'd taken over the family business after Enrico's disappearance. She was watching a dead man talk to his killer. Lorenzo stood, brushing invisible dust from his pants. His eyes found the cleaning cart again. He walked over to it. Slowly. Too slowly. Cynthia pressed herself harder against the wall. Her shoulder scraped against rough concrete. Don't move. Don't breathe. Don't exist. Lorenzo picked up one of her cleaning bottles. Turned it over in his hands. Reading the label. Someone's been down here, he said casually. Recently. He looked at his brother. Enrico said nothing. His jaw was locked tight. Did you have a visitor, brother? Did someone find you? Lorenzo's voice went soft. Dangerous. Because that would be very unfortunate. For them. Silence. The kind that crushes your chest. Lorenzo set the bottle down. I'll find out who it was. I always do. He started back toward the stairs, then paused. And when I do, I'll bring them down here. Let you watch what happens to people who see things they shouldn't. He climbed the stairs. The light went out. The door closed. Lock clicked. Footsteps faded. Cynthia stayed frozen for what felt like hours. Her legs were cramping. Her lungs screaming. But she didn't move. Couldn't move. Finally, Enrico's voice cut through the darkness. Quiet. Exhausted. He's gone. You can come out. She stumbled from behind the water heater. Her legs barely worked. In the dim light, seeping through a tiny basement window, she could see him watching her. You should go, he said. Forget you saw me. Forget this place exists. Cynthia looked at him. Really looked. At the infected wound. The ropes cutting into his skin. The way he could barely keep his head up. She thought of Priya in that hospital bed. Of the medical bills stacking up. Of all the times she'd walked past people who needed help because getting involved was too dangerous. She thought of her mother's voice. You have a gift, Beta. Healing hands. Don't waste it hiding in the shadows. I'm not going anywhere, she heard herself say. Not yet. Enrico's eyes widened. You don't understand what you're. Your shoulder's infected. You'll be dead in 2 days if someone doesn't treat it. Her voice was steadier now. She moved closer, kneeling beside him. I worked as a pharmacy technician. I know how to clean wounds. How to fight infection. If Lorenzo finds out, then we make sure he doesn't. She pulled her cleaning cart closer, digging through the supplies. I'll come back tomorrow. Same time. I'll bring proper medical supplies. Why? His voice cracked on the word. Why would you risk this? Cynthia met his eyes. In them, she saw something she recognized. Desperation. The same desperation she felt every time she watched Priya struggle to breathe. Because leaving someone to die when you can save them. She swallowed hard. That's not something I can live with. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Enrico let out a shaky breath. Something that might have been relief. Or disbelief. Or both. You're either very brave, he said quietly, or very foolish. Maybe both. She stood, backing toward the stairs. But you're not dying today. Not if I can help it. What's your name? She paused at the bottom of the stairs. Look back at him. At the fallen king in chains. At the man everyone thought was dead. Cynthia, she said. My name is Cynthia. Cynthia. He tested the word. Nodded once. Thank you. She didn't answer. Just climbed the stairs, pushed through the door, and stepped back into the light. Her hands were still shaking. Her heart still racing. But before she could leave, she needed to do one thing. The thing that had brought her here in the first place. The thing that had made her open that basement door. Water. She'd been looking for a bucket to fill with water for cleaning the upstairs bedrooms. That's why she'd gone down there. That's why she'd found him. And now, looking at him chained in that dark corner, his lips cracked and bleeding, she realized something. He needed water more than anything else. More than medicine. More than freedom. Right now, in this moment, he was dying of thirst. Cynthia turned back. Her feet moved before her brain could stop them. She went to the utility sink in the corner of the basement, the one she'd been heading toward when she found the locked subroom. She turned on the faucet. Let it run until the water turned cold and clear. She didn't have a cup. Didn't have anything clean. All she had was the spray bottle from her cart, the one she used for window cleaner. She dumped out the blue liquid, rinsed it 3 times, then filled it with fresh water. Her hand was shaking so badly she almost dropped it. When she turned back to Enrico, his eyes were following her every move. Watching, waiting, not quite believing. "You came back," he said. His voice was so quiet she almost didn't hear it. "I said I wasn't going anywhere." She knelt beside him again, closer this time, close enough to see the fever burning in his eyes, close enough to smell the infection. "Can you lift your head?" He tried. Failed. The chains didn't give him enough movement. Cynthia set down the bottle and looked at the ropes around his chest. They were tied so tight they cut into his skin. Blood stained the edges where the rope had rubbed him raw for days. Maybe weeks. "I'm going to loosen these," she said. "Just enough so you can move." "Okay." Enrico stared at her. "You're really not one of his spies." It wasn't a question. More like he was finally letting himself believe it. "I'm a maid," Cynthia said. "I clean houses. That's all. I don't know anything about your world. I don't want to know anything about it." "Then why are you still here?" She met his eyes. "Because you're dying. And I can't. I can't just walk away from that." Her fingers found the knot in the rope. Whoever tied it knew what they were doing. It was tight. Professional. Meant to hurt. It took her 5 minutes to work it loose. 5 minutes of Enrico watching her in silence. 5 minutes of her expecting Lorenzo to come back down those stairs any second. Finally, the rope gave. Just a little. Just enough. Enrico sucked in a breath. The first real breath he'd probably taken in days. "Better?" she asked. He nodded. Couldn't seem to find words. Cynthia picked up the spray bottle. "This is going to be awkward, but it's all I have." She pressed the trigger. A thin stream of water shot out. It hit his lips, his chin. He opened his mouth, trying to catch it, and for a second Cynthia felt like she was feeding a baby bird. He drank, desperately, like a man crawling out of desert. She kept spraying until the bottle was half empty, until water ran down his neck and soaked into his already ruined shirt. When she finally stopped, Enrico closed his eyes. His chest rose and fell. "Slower now. More even." "Thank you," he whispered. "You have no idea what that." He couldn't finish. Maybe didn't need to. Cynthia sat back on her heels. Looked at him. Really looked at him for the first time since finding him. Under all the blood and bruises, she could see the man he used to be. Strong jaw. High cheekbones. The kind of face that probably made people move out of his way on the street. The kind of face that commanded rooms. Now he looked small. Broken. Human. "I need to go," she said. "If I'm gone too long, someone might notice." "Wait." Enrico's eyes opened. Fixed on her. "You said you'd come back. Tomorrow." "I will." "Don't." The word came out harsh. Almost angry. "Don't come back. It's too dangerous. Lorenzo, he's not like other men. He doesn't just kill people who cross him. He destroys them. Everything they love. Everyone they care about." Cynthia thought of Priya again. Thought of Lorenzo's cold eyes. His smooth voice promising violence. "I'll be careful," she said. "Careful isn't enough." "Then what should I do?" Her voice came out sharper than she meant it to. "Leave you here to die? Let that infection kill you? Is that what you want?" Enrico looked away, stared at the far wall of the basement. At nothing. "I don't know," he said finally. "I don't know what I want anymore. Except maybe to not drag an innocent woman into this hell with me. I'm already in it." Cynthia stood, brushed dust off her knees. "The second I opened that door, I was in it. Lorenzo knows someone was down here. He'll find out who eventually. so I might as well make it worth the risk. She started toward the stairs again. This time, she didn't look back. Cynthia, she stopped, didn't turn around. Be careful, Enrico said. Please. I've seen too many good people die already. She nodded, climbed the stairs, pushed through the door, and stepped back into a world that suddenly felt a lot more dangerous than it had this morning. Behind her, in the darkness below, the Lion of Lombardy sat in chains. A little less thirsty, a little more alive. And Cynthia Lucchese, the invisible maid, the woman used to cleaning up other people's messes, had just made a choice that would change everything. She grabbed her keys from the cart she'd left upstairs, started for the front door, then stopped. On the marble entry table sat a fresh bouquet of roses, black roses, and beside them, a business card, Lorenzo Lettier's business card, with a handwritten note on the back. Whoever you are, I will find you. Cynthia's blood ran cold. He knew. Somehow he knew. And she just promised to come back tomorrow. Cynthia stared at the black roses for a full minute. Her brain wouldn't work right. Couldn't make sense of what she was seeing. The flowers hadn't been there before. She was sure of it. She'd walked past that table twice already today. It had been empty except for a layer of dust, which meant Lorenzo had come back upstairs, had placed them there, while she was still in the basement with Enrico. He'd known she was down there the whole time. Her stomach turned over. She grabbed her cleaning supplies and practically ran to her car. Her hand shook so hard she dropped her keys 3 times before she got the door open. She threw everything in the back seat, started the engine, and drove. She didn't stop shaking until she was 10 blocks away. The next day, Cynthia showed up at the house at exactly 3 in the afternoon. Same time as yesterday. She'd spent all night thinking about not coming, about forgetting the whole thing, about protecting herself and Priya. But every time she closed her eyes, she saw Enrico's face, saw the infection spreading across his shoulder, saw him dying alone in the dark. She couldn't do it, couldn't leave him there. So here she was, back at the house that might get her killed. She parked on the street this time instead of the driveway. Easier to run if she needed to. She'd stopped at a pharmacy on the way and bought bandages, antiseptic, antibiotic ointment, and painkillers. All of it paid for with money she'd been saving for Priya's next hospital bill. The house looked the same as yesterday. Big, empty, silent, too silent. Cynthia grabbed her cleaning cart and headed for the front door. She used her key, the one the realtor had given her, and stepped inside. The black roses were gone. She didn't know if that was better or worse. She moved through the house slowly, listening, watching. Every shadow made her jump. Every creak made her heart stop. But nothing happened. No one appeared. The house stayed empty. Maybe Lorenzo had just been messing with her. Maybe the roses were just a warning to scare her off. She made it to the basement door without seeing anyone. She was halfway down the stairs when she heard it. A car engine. Close. Getting closer. She froze. The engine stopped. Right outside the house. Car doors opened. Slammed shut. Footsteps on the gravel driveway. More than one person. 3, maybe 4. Cynthia's blood went cold. She looked down the stairs. The basement was dark. Enrico was down there waiting for her. Waiting for the medicine that might save his life. She looked back up. The footsteps were at the front door now. Keys jingling. The door opened. Check the basement first, a man's voice said. Deep. Rough. Boss wants to know if he's still breathing. Cynthia didn't think. She just moved. She flew back up the stairs as quietly as she could, slipped through the basement door and closed it behind her. Her cleaning cart was still down there. Too late to get it now. The men were in the entrance hall. She could hear them talking. Place gives me the creeps, one said. Stop whining and do your job, another replied. Cynthia looked around desperately. She was in the hallway. Nowhere to hide. Nowhere to go. The men's footsteps moved closer. She dropped to her knees and grabbed the bottle of floor polish from her supply bag. Poured some on the hardwood. Started rubbing it in with a cloth. Hey, she looked up. 2 men stood at the end of the hallway. Both big. Both wearing dark clothes. Both staring at her. Who are you? The first one asked. He had a scar running down his left cheek. Cynthia's mouth was so dry she could barely speak. I'm a cleaning lady. The realtor hired me. When? 2 days ago. I've been coming every afternoon to clean before the new owners move in. The second man, shorter but wider, looked at his partner. Lorenzo didn't say anything about a cleaning lady. Lorenzo doesn't tell us everything, Scarface said. But his eyes stayed on Cynthia. Suspicious. Cold. Cynthia kept rubbing the floor. Kept her head down. Kept pretending this was normal. Just another day. Just another job. I can come back later if you need me to, she said. Her voice shook. She hoped they'd think it was because she was scared of them, not because she was hiding a half-dead mafia boss in the basement. The shorter man walked closer. Stopped right next to her. She could smell cigarette smoke on his clothes. You been down to the basement? He asked. Cynthia's heart stopped. What? The basement. You cleaned down there. I know. Not yet. The realtor said the upstairs was priority. I haven't gotten to the basement. The man stared at her. She kept her eyes on the floor. Kept rubbing. Her hand moved in slow circles. Polish on. Polish off. Like it was the most important thing in the world. She looks clean, Scarface said from down the hall. Probably legit. The shorter man grunted. Let's check the basement. Boss wants an update in 20 minutes. They walked past her, headed for the basement door. Cynthia stopped breathing. The door opened. Their footsteps echoed on the wooden stairs. She had maybe 30 seconds before they found her cleaning cart down there. Before they realized she'd lied. Before they came back up and dragged her down to that basement. And she forced herself to keep polishing. Forced her hands to move even though they wanted to shake. Even though every muscle in her body was screaming at her to run. Voices drifted up from below. Muffled. Angry. Then footsteps again. Coming back up. The two men emerged from the basement. Scarface was carrying her cleaning cart. Thought you said you hadn't been down there, he said. Cynthia looked at the cart. Looked at him. Her mind raced. I went down this morning, she said. Just to look, to see what needed cleaning. But it was too dark. I couldn't see anything. So I came back up. I was going to go down later with my flashlight. This morning, the shorter man moved closer. What time? Early. Maybe 9? I don't remember exactly. And you didn't see anything weird? Nothing unusual? Cynthia shook her head. Just a dirty basement. Why? Is something wrong? The two men looked at each other. Some kind of silent conversation passed between them. He's worse, the shorter one said quietly. Infection's spreading. Boss said to let it run its course. Yeah, well, boss isn't down there smelling it. Scarface handed Cynthia her cart. You can go. Come back tomorrow if you want. But stay out of the basement. That area's off limits. Okay, Cynthia said. No problem. She wanted to ask why. Wanted to ask what was down there. Wanted to act normal, curious, the way a regular cleaning lady would act. But she couldn't risk it. Couldn't risk them thinking too hard about why she might be asking. So she just nodded, gathered her things, started walking toward the front door. Hey, Scarface called after her. She stopped, turned around. What's your name? Cynthia. Cynthia what? Lucchese. He pulled out his phone, started typing, looking something up. Cynthia's heart pounded so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. After a moment, he put the phone away. All right, you're clean. See you tomorrow. She nodded again, walked out, got to her car, put everything in the trunk. She didn't start crying until she was 3 blocks away. When she finally stopped shaking enough to drive properly, she pulled into a parking lot and sat there. Just sat, staring at nothing. She'd almost died today. Almost gotten caught. Almost gotten Enrico killed too. And the worst part? She was going to have to go back tomorrow. Because those men had said it themselves. The infection was spreading. Enrico was getting worse. If she didn't help him soon, there wouldn't be anything left to save. Cynthia wiped her eyes, checked her rearview mirror, made sure no one had followed her. Then she pulled out the medical supplies she'd hidden under her car seat. The ones the men hadn't found. The ones she'd bought for Enrico. She'd have to find another way to get them to him. Another time, when Lorenzo's men weren't watching. She'd figure out. She had to, because she'd made a promise. A silent vow in that dark basement. She wasn't going to let him die, no matter what it cost her. The problem was, the supplies she'd bought at the pharmacy weren't enough. Not for an infection this bad. She needed stronger antibiotics. The kind you couldn't buy over the counter. The kind that required a prescription. Cynthia sat in her car outside the parking lot and thought about her options. She could try to find a doctor who'd give her antibiotics without asking questions. But that would cost money she didn't have, and it would leave a trail. Or she could go back to the place she'd sworn she'd never return to. The Riverside Health Clinic. She'd worked there for 8 months as a pharmacy technician before Priya got sick, before she needed a job with more flexible hours, before everything fell apart. They let her go kindly, said she could come back anytime, that the door was always open. She'd never wanted to walk through that door again. The clinic reminded her of everything she'd lost, everything she'd given up, but now she didn't have a choice. She drove there on autopilot, parked around back where the staff parking was. It was almost 7 in the evening. The clinic closed at 6. Most people will be gone by now. Most people, but not everyone. Cynthia knew the security schedule by heart. One guard made rounds every hour. The back entrance had a keypad lock, but the code hadn't changed in 3 years. She bet everything it was still the same. She was right. The door clicked open. Inside, the clinic was dark except for the emergency exit signs. Her footsteps echoed on the tile floor. She moved quickly, heading straight for the supply room. The lock was different, newer, digital instead of the old key system. Her heart sank. She couldn't get in. Then she remembered something. The staff break room had a first aid station. Not as well stocked as the main supply room, but it might have what she needed. She found it behind a cabinet marked Emergency Use Only. Inside were bandages, antiseptic, gauze, and 3 bottles of pills. She checked the labels in the dim light from her phone. Amoxicillin, ciprofloxacin, doxycycline, all antibiotics, all strong enough to fight a serious infection. She grabbed 2 bottles of the ciprofloxacin and one of the doxycycline, stuffed them in her bag along with fresh bandages and a bottle of antiseptic. Footsteps echoed somewhere in the building. Cynthia froze. The security guard, making his rounds early. She closed the cabinet as quietly as she could and moved toward the back door. The footsteps were getting closer, coming down the main hallway. She slipped outside just as a flashlight beam swept across the break room. Her hands were shaking again. They seemed to shake a lot these days. She drove back to the estate. It was dark now, almost 8. The house would be empty. Lorenzo's men had already done their evening check. They wouldn't come back until tomorrow. This was her chance. She parked on the street again, grabbed her bag and her flashlight, let herself in through the front door. The house was silent, dark, empty. She went straight to the basement. Enrico was exactly where she'd left him yesterday, chained to the radiator. But he looked worse. His face was pale. Sweat covered his forehead. The fever had gotten worse. "You came back," he said. His voice was barely a whisper. "I told you I would." She knelt beside him and pulled out the antibiotics. "I got you medicine. Real medicine this time." His eyes focused on the bottles, then on her face. "Where did you get those?" "Does it matter?" "If you stole them, yes." "It matters." Cynthia opened the first bottle, shook out 2 pills. "You're dying." "I'm not going to let that happen because I was too scared to break a few rules." She held the pills to his lips. He took them, swallowed them dry because she'd forgotten to bring water this time, and she got to work on the wound. It looked worse than yesterday. The green infection had spread. The skin around it was hot to the touch. Angry red lines ran up toward his neck. Blood poisoning. If it reached his heart, he was done. She cleaned the wound as gently as she could. Enrico hissed through his teeth but didn't pull away, didn't complain. When she finished, she wrapped fresh bandages around his shoulder. "Thank you," he said quietly. She didn't answer, just packed up her supplies. "Why are you doing this?" he asked. "You could die. Lorenzo will kill you if he finds out." "I know." "Then why?" Cynthia looked at him, really looked at him. "Because 3 years ago, I watched my mother die in a hospital bed. Cancer. It took 6 months. Every day I sat there and watched her slip away. And I couldn't do anything. Couldn't help. Couldn't save her." She swallowed hard. "Now my little sister has the same thing. Same cancer. Same hospital. And I still can't do anything except watch and pray and hope." She wiped her eyes. "So when I found you here, dying, and I realized I could actually help someone for once, I couldn't walk away. I couldn't add one more person to the list of people I failed to save." Enrico was quiet for a long moment. "I'm sorry," he finally said. "About your mother. About your sister. Don't be sorry. Just survive. Make this worth it." He nodded, looked down at his tattooed arm. the one covered in roses and symbols. You want to know what these mean? He asked. Cynthia shrugged. If you want to tell me. He lifted his arm as much as the chains would allow, pointed to a rose near his wrist. This one's for my mother. She died when I was 12. Lung disease. He moved his finger up to another rose. This one's for my father. Heart attack when I was 16. Then to a third. My wife. Car accident. 4 years ago. Cynthia stared at the tattoos. At the garden of dead people on his skin. I'm sorry, she whispered. Don't be. I killed most of the people who took them from me. He said it casually, like he was talking about the weather. That's what I do. What I am. A killer. A monster. So don't make the mistake of thinking I'm worth saving. I'm not. Everyone's worth saving, Cynthia said. Not me. Yes, you. She stood up. Looked down at him. You're a person. You're alive. That makes you worth saving. I don't care what you've done. Enrico laughed. A bitter, broken sound. You're either a saint or an idiot. Maybe both. She picked up her bag. I have to go. I'll come back tomorrow. Same time. Bring more medicine. Cynthia. He stopped her. If Lorenzo catches you, promise me you'll tell him I force you. Tell him I threatened your sister. Make him believe you had no choice. I won't let him catch me. Promise me. She looked at him, at the desperation in his eyes. He wasn't worried about himself. He was worried about her. I promise, she lied. She left him there in the darkness. Climbed the stairs. Locked the basement door behind her. Outside, the night air was cold. Clean. It felt good after the smell of infection and death. Cynthia got in her car and drove home. She had work again tomorrow. Another house to clean. Another day of pretending everything was normal. But tonight, for the first time in 3 years, she felt like maybe she'd done something that mattered. Maybe she'd saved someone who needed saving, even if he didn't believe he deserved it. Cynthia made it 3 days without getting caught. 3 days of sneaking into the basement. 3 days of changing Enrico's bandages and giving him antibiotics. 3 days of watching the infection slowly get better instead of worse. On the 4th day, Lorenzo was waiting for her. She walked into the house at her usual time. 3 in the afternoon. The house seemed normal. Quiet. Empty like always. She made it halfway to the basement door before she heard his voice. Cynthia Lucchese. She froze. Every muscle in her body locked up. He was sitting in the living room, on the old couch that was covered in dust sheets, like he'd been waiting there for hours. Come here, he said. Not loud. Not angry. Just calm, which somehow made it worse. Cynthia's legs didn't want to move, but they did. One step, then another, until she was standing in the doorway of the living room. Lorenzo looked different than he had in the basement. More relaxed. He wore jeans and a button-up shirt. No jacket. His sleeves were rolled up. He looked almost normal, almost human, but his eyes were the same. Cold, empty, like looking into deep water. Sit, he said, pointing to the chair across from him. I should really get started on the cleaning, Cynthia said. Her voice came out too high, too nervous. The realtor wants the house ready by. Sit. She sat. Lorenzo leaned back, studied her. You've been coming here every day. Same time. 3 o'clock. Yes. The realtor hired me to. The realtor didn't hire you. Cynthia's heart stopped. What? I called him yesterday. Asked about the cleaning lady. Lorenzo smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. He said he never hired anyone. Said the house doesn't need cleaning until next month. The room felt like it was spinning. Cynthia gripped the arms of the chair to steady herself. There must be some mistake, she said. He definitely called me. I have his number and everything. Show me. What? Your phone. Show me the realtor's number. Cynthia pulled out her phone with shaking hands. She scrolled through her contacts. Found the number labeled Realtor Riverside Estate. She held it out to Lorenzo. He looked at it. Nodded. Call it. What? Call the number. Right now. Let's see if he answers. Cynthia pressed the call button. Put the phone to her ear. It rang once. Twice. 3 times. You've reached Dave Kowalski. Leave a message. She hung up. He's probably busy. That's not the realtor, Lorenzo said quietly. That's a burner number. Someone set you up with fake information, so you'd have an excuse to be here. I don't understand. Why would anyone? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Lorenzo stood up, walked over to where she sat, looked down at her. Who sent you here? Cynthia? No one sent me. I thought I was hired to clean. For 4 days straight, cleaning an empty house. I wanted to do a good job. Lorenzo crouched down, put himself at eye level with her. Close. Too close. She could smell his cologne. Expensive. Strong. Let me tell you what I think, he said. I think someone hired you to spy on this house. To report back on what you find. Maybe the police. Maybe a rival family. Maybe someone who thinks my brother is still alive. Cynthia forced herself to meet his eyes. To not look away. I don't know anything about your brother. I just clean houses. That's all. Then why did you steal medical supplies from the Riverside Health Clinic? Her blood turned to ice. I have cameras everywhere in this neighborhood, Lorenzo continued. One of them caught your car outside the clinic. 4 nights ago. You were inside for 12 minutes. Then you came straight here. Cynthia couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. I checked with the clinic, Lorenzo said. They reported missing antibiotics. Ciprofloxacin, doxycycline, the exact kind you'd need to treat a serious infection. He tilted his head. Why would a cleaning lady need those? My sister, Cynthia blurted out. She's sick. Cancer. She needed medicine, but we can't afford it. I was desperate. Your sister has cancer? Yes. Priya. She's 14. She's been in the hospital for 6 months. Lorenzo pulled out his phone. Typed something. Waited. His eyes scanned whatever came up on the screen. Priya Lucchese, he read. Age 14. Diagnosed with leukemia. Currently at Metro General Hospital. He looked up at her. You're not lying about that. Why would I lie? But that doesn't explain why you came here after stealing the medicine. Why not go straight home? Straight to the hospital? I panicked. I didn't want to go straight there in case someone followed me. So I came here first. To clean. To make everything look normal. Lorenzo stared at her for a long moment. She couldn't tell if he believed her or not. Stand up, he said. She stood. Empty your pockets. Your bag. Everything. Cynthia's hand shook as she pulled out her phone. Her keys. Her wallet. A pack of tissues. The bottle of floor polish she always carried. Lorenzo picked up each item. Examined them. Set them down. Where's the medicine? He asked. At home. I gave it to my sister. All of it? Yes. He moved closer. So close she could feel his breath on her face. If I find out you're lying to me. If I find out you've been helping my brother. He let the sentence hang there. Unfinished. Which made it more terrifying than any threat. I'm not lying, Cynthia whispered. I swear. Lorenzo stepped back. Straightened his shirt. Get out. Don't come back. If I see you near this house again, I'll assume you're working for my enemies. And I deal with my enemies very permanently. Cynthia grabbed her things, shoved them in her bag, started for the door. Cynthia, she stopped, didn't turn around. I'm going to check on your sister, Lorenzo said. Personally, make sure she's really sick. Make sure this story is true. And if it's not, he paused. Well, you won't have to worry about her medical bills anymore, because she won't need them. Cynthia's legs almost gave out. She made it to her car through sheer force of will. She drove 3 blocks before she had to pull over and throw up. Lorenzo knew, maybe not everything, but he suspected, and now he was watching her sister. She just put Priya in danger, the one person she'd been trying to protect. Cynthia wiped her mouth, started the car again. She had to warn Enrico, had to tell him Lorenzo was suspicious, had to figure out a new plan. But she couldn't go back to the house. Not now, not while Lorenzo was watching. Which meant Enrico was alone down there, with no medicine, no water, no help, and the infection that was just starting to heal would come back stronger than before. She'd saved him, and now, by trying to keep him alive, she might have killed them both. Cynthia spent 2 days away from the house, 2 days of jumping at every sound, 2 days of checking over her shoulder everywhere she went, 2 days of waiting for Lorenzo's men to show up at her apartment. They never came. On the 3rd day, she went to visit Priya at the hospital. She needed to see her sister, needed to make sure she was still safe. Priya was asleep when Cynthia arrived, pale and small on the hospital bed, tubes running from her arms, machines beeping softly beside her. She looked so fragile, so breakable. Cynthia sat in the chair next to the bed and cried. Quiet tears that wouldn't wake her sister up. She put Priya in danger. All because she couldn't walk away from a stranger in a basement. "You're an idiot," she whispered to herself. "A complete idiot. You're not an idiot." Cynthia jumped, looked up. A nurse stood in the doorway. Young, maybe 30, with kind eyes and tired smile. "Sorry," the nurse said. "Didn't mean to scare you. I'm just doing rounds." She checked one of Priya's machines. Made a note on her chart. "Your sister's doing well today. Blood pressure is stable." "That's good," Cynthia said. The nurse started to leave, then paused. "There was a man here earlier, asking about Priya." Cynthia's heart stopped. "What kind of man?" "Tall, well-dressed. Said he was a family friend." The nurse frowned, but something felt off about him. The way he asked questions. Very specific questions. About her treatment, her diagnosis, how long she'd been sick. She looked at Cynthia. "Do you know who he was?" "No," Cynthia lied. "Well, I told him I couldn't give out patient information. He left after that." The nurse lowered her voice. "But if he comes back, and if you feel unsafe, tell security." "Okay." Cynthia nodded. "Thank you." After the nurse left, Cynthia sat there staring at her sleeping sister. Lorenzo had followed through on his threat. He'd check her story, which meant he still didn't trust her, which meant she was running out of time. She had to get back to Enrico, had to warn him, had to figure out what to do next. That night, she waited until 11, when the streets were quiet and the house would be dark. She parked 4 blocks away and walked the rest of the distance. The house looked empty. No cars outside, no lights inside. She used her key, moved through the dark rooms as quietly as possible. Every shadow made her heart race. Every creak made her want to run. But she made it to the basement without seeing anyone. Enrico was worse than she'd left him. The fever was back. His skin was hot to the touch. The infection had spread again. "Cynthia?" His voice was weak, confused. "Is that you?" "I'm here." She knelt beside him, pulled out the supplies she'd brought. More antibiotics, more bandages. "I'm sorry I couldn't come sooner. Lorenzo was watching me." "I know. I heard him." Enrico's eyes focused on her face. "He was down here 2 days ago, checking on me, making sure I was still dying on schedule." "Did he say anything?" "Asked if anyone had been helping me." I said no. He coughed. A wet, painful sound. "But he knows someone has. He's not stupid." Cynthia cleaned the wound as fast as she could. The infection was bad again. Worse than before. The antibiotics had helped, but stopping them for 3 days had let everything come back stronger. "You can't keep coming here," Enrico said. "It's too dangerous." "I know. Then why are you here?" "Because you'll die if I don't help you. I'm going to die anyway." He grabbed her wrist. His hand was burning hot. "Listen to me. You need to get a message to someone. Someone who can help." "Who?" "His name is Tomas Valeni. He runs a fruit stand in Little Italy, corner of Mulberry Street and Hester. He's been loyal to my family for 30 years. Cynthia pulled out her phone. "I'll call him." "No, no phones. Lorenzo monitors everything. You have to go there in person." Enrico's grip tightened. "And you have to give him a specific message. Exactly the way I tell you. Can you do that?" She nodded. "You walk up to his stand. You ask for blood oranges. Not regular oranges. Blood oranges. He'll say he's out. You say that's too bad. Your cousin in Palermo always loved them. He'll ask what your cousin's name is. You say Enrico. That's it. That's the code. Blood oranges. Cousin in Palermo. Name is Enrico. Right. Once you say the name, he'll know it's real. He'll ask you where to find me. You tell him this address. He'll bring men. Good men. Men who'll get me out of here. What if he's not there? What if Lorenzo's watching him too? Then we're dead." Enrico said it matter-of-factly, like he was talking about the weather. "But Tomas is smart. If Lorenzo's people are watching him, he'll know. He won't react. Won't put you in danger." Cynthia memorized the message. Repeated it back to him 3 times to make sure she had it right. "When?" she asked. "Tomorrow. First thing in the morning. The stand opens at 6. Go early before Lorenzo's people are awake." She gave him the antibiotics. Made him swallow them. Change his bandages 1 more time. "You're risking everything for me," Enrico said quietly. "What?" Cynthia looked at him, at his fever-bright eyes, at the tattoos on his arm. "All those roses for all those dead people." "Because someone has to," she said. She left him there and climbed back upstairs. Her hands were steadier now. her heart calmer. She had a plan, something concrete to do. She drove home, set her alarm for 5 in the morning, lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Blood oranges. Cousin in Palermo. Name is Enrico. She repeated it over and over in her head until the words stopped making sense, until they were just sounds, a rhythm, a prayer. Tomorrow she would go to Little Italy. Tomorrow she would find Tomas Valeni. Tomorrow she would deliver the message that might save Enrico's life, or get them both killed. When her alarm went off, Cinzia was already awake, already dressed, already out the door. Little Italy was 40 minutes away by train. She sat in the back car, watched every person who got on, made sure no one was following her. Mulberry Street was quiet at 6 in the morning. A few delivery trucks, a couple of early morning joggers. Nothing suspicious. She found a fruit stand easily. It was small, simple, just a wooden cart with crates of apples and pears and bananas. An old man stood behind it, 70, maybe older, gray hair, wrinkled face, kind eyes. Cinzia walked up. Her mouth was dry. Her heart was pounding. "Do you have blood oranges?" she asked. The old man looked at her, really looked, like he was seeing through her skin, reading her thoughts. "I'm out," he said. "That's too bad. My cousin in Palermo always loved them." The old man's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes shifted, sharpened. "What's your cousin's name?" he asked. Cinzia took a breath. "Enrico." For 3 seconds, nothing happened. The old man just stared at her. The world seemed to stop spinning. Then he nodded. Once. Small. Almost invisible. "Where?" he asked. She told him the address. He didn't write it down. Didn't pull out his phone. Just nodded again. "Go home," he said. "Don't go back to that house. Don't contact Enrico. Don't do anything. Just go home and wait." "How long?" 2 days. Maybe 3. He picked up an apple. Started polishing it with his apron. "If you don't hear from me in 3 days, run. Leave the city. Change your name. Disappear." Cinzia nodded. Turned to leave. "Girl." She looked back. "You save his life," Tomas said. "The family won't forget that." She didn't know if that was a promise or a threat. Cinzia turned away from Tomas and started walking. She kept her pace normal. Not too fast. Not too slow. Just another person walking through Little Italy at 6 in the morning. She made it 2 blocks before she noticed a car. Black sedan, tinted windows, driving too slow for morning traffic. It stayed half a block behind her, never getting closer, never falling back. Her stomach dropped. She turned left at the next corner. The car turned left. She walked faster. The car kept pace. Someone was following her. Cinzia's mind raced. Had Lorenzo's people been watching Tomas all along? Had they seen her deliver the message? Did they know what she'd done? She needed to lose them. Needed to make sure they couldn't follow her home. Couldn't find Priya. Up ahead was a coffee shop. Already open. A few early customers inside. Cinzia pushed through the door. The bell chimed. She walked straight to the bathroom in the back. Locked the door behind her. Her hands were shaking. She pulled out her phone. Thought about calling the police. But what would she say? That she was being followed because she'd been helping a mafia boss? They'd arrest her on the spot. She waited 5 minutes. Then opened the door and peeked out. The coffee shop was more crowded now. Morning rush starting. She couldn't see anyone suspicious. No one watching the bathroom. No one paying attention to her. She bought a coffee she didn't want. Used it as an excuse to scan the street through the window. The black sedan was parked across the street. Engine running. Someone sitting in the driver's seat. Cinzia's heart hammered in her chest. She left through the back exit. The one marked employees only. Nobody stopped her. She came out in an alley behind a shop. She walked fast. Took 3 random turns. Ended up on a busy street with buses and taxis. She caught a bus going uptown. Sat in the back. Watched through the rear window. The black sedan pulled into traffic 2 cars behind the bus. They were still following her. Cinzia got off at the next stop. So did 3 other people. She mixed in with them. Crossed the street. Ducked into a department store that was just opening. She went up the escalator. Down the escalator. Through the women's clothing section. Out a different exit. No black sedan. No one following. She'd lost them. Cinzia caught another bus. This one going downtown. She got off after 6 stops. Walked 3 blocks. Caught a taxi. gave the driver an address 2 miles from her apartment. She paid cash, got out, walked the rest of the way home. By the time she reached her building, she'd been moving for 3 hours. Her feet hurt, her head pounded, but she was sure, absolutely sure, no one had followed her home. She climbed the stairs to her apartment, unlocked the door, stepped inside, and froze. Lorenzo was sitting on her couch. "Morning," he said pleasantly, like they were old friends, like he hadn't just broken into her home. "Coffee." He gestured to a cup on the table, steam rising from it. "I made a fresh pot." Cynthia couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. "You're probably wondering how I got in," Lorenzo continued. "Honestly, these old locks are embarrassingly easy to pick." He stood up, walked over to her window, looked out at the street below. "Nice view. You can see the whole block from up here." "What do you want?" Cynthia finally managed. "I want to know where you went this morning." He turned to face her. "You left your apartment at 5:30. Took the train to Little Italy. Spent 3 hours moving around the city like you were trying to lose someone." He smiled. "Which you did, by the way. Very impressive. My guy lost you at the department store. I was running errands." "At 6 in the morning? In Little Italy?" Lorenzo walked closer. "What kind of errands?" "I needed to pick up some groceries. There's a market there that sells." "Don't lie to me." His voice went cold, hard. "I followed you all the way to Mulberry Street. Watched you talk to an old man at a fruit stand. Watched you say something to him. Then he nodded and you left." He was right in front of her now. "What did you tell him?" Cynthia's mind went blank. She couldn't think, couldn't come up with a story fast enough. "Nothing," she said. "I just asked if he had blood oranges." "Blood oranges." Lorenzo repeated the words slowly. "Why blood oranges?" "My sister likes them. I thought they might help her feel better." "Your sister who's in the hospital with cancer?" "Yes." Lorenzo studied her face, like he was looking for cracks, for lies. "Here's what I think," he said quietly. "I think you want to see Tomas Valeni. I think my brother somehow got a message to you. Told you to contact him. Told you to ask for help." He leaned in close. "Am I right?" "I don't know what you're talking about." "Then why were you at his stand?" "I told you. Blood oranges. Tomas Valeni doesn't sell blood oranges. He hasn't sold them in 10 years. Not since my father died." Lorenzo's eyes bored into hers. "But you'd know that if you'd actually gone there to shop. Instead, you went there to deliver a message. A coded message. Well, my brother taught you." Cynthia's throat closed up. She couldn't deny it. Couldn't confirm it. Couldn't do anything but stand there while Lorenzo pieced everything together. "I should kill you right now," he said. "Make it look like a robbery. No one would question it. A single mother living alone in this neighborhood. These things happen." "Please," Cynthia whispered. "My sister needs me." "Your sister is the only reason you're still breathing." Lorenzo stepped back. "But I need you to understand something. My brother is dangerous. More dangerous than you can imagine. And the men he's loyal to, they're worse. If you help him, if you bring them here, a lot of people are going to die. Innocent people. People like you. Then let him go. Just let him go, and he'll leave." Lorenzo laughed. A short, bitter sound. "You think it's that simple? You think if I let him go, he'll just walk away? Forgive and forget?" He shook his head. "He'll come after me. He'll take everything I have, and then he'll kill me. That's what my brother is. That's what he does. So you're just going to let him die in that basement?" "Yes." No hesitation. No guilt. "And you're going to stay away from him. Stay away from Tomas. Stay away from anyone connected to my family." He walked to the door. Paused. "I'm watching you, Cynthia. Every move. Every phone call. Every person you talk to. If you step out of line again, I won't be this nice." He left. The door closed behind him. Cynthia stood there for a long time. Just stood, staring at nothing. Lorenzo knew. He knew everything. Which meant Tomas knew Lorenzo was watching. Which meant he wouldn't come. Wouldn't send help. Wouldn't risk his men walking into a trap. Which meant Enrico was going to die. And there was nothing Cynthia could do to stop it. She spent the rest of the day in her apartment, pacing, thinking, trying to figure out what to do next. Lorenzo was watching her. Tomas wouldn't send help. Enrico was running out of time. She'd failed. Failed him. Failed herself. Failed everyone. At 7 that evening, her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. "Hello. It's happening tonight." The voice was old, rough. Tomas. Lorenzo's moving up the timeline. He's going to kill Enrico at midnight. Cynthia's blood went cold. How do you know? I have people inside his organization. They just told me. Lorenzo's done waiting. He wants this finished. Can you help? Can you send men? Not in time. My people need at least 2 days to plan something. To get weapons. To scout the location. Tomas paused. You're the only one close enough to do anything. Me? What can I do? I don't know. But if you don't do something, Enrico dies tonight. The line went dead. Cynthia stared at her phone. Her hands were shaking again. She had 5 hours. 5 hours to save a man from his own brother. 5 hours to stop a murder. She looked around her apartment, at her small kitchen, her worn-out couch, her life that was simple and quiet and safe. She could stay here, lock her door, pretend she never found Enrico, pretend none of this ever happened. Or she could go back to that house one last time. She chose the house. Cynthia grabbed her cleaning cart from the closet, the same one she'd used every day for the past 2 weeks. She loaded it with her usual supplies. Spray bottles, rags, floor polish. Then she went to her kitchen drawer, the one where she kept tools for fixing things around the apartment. She pulled out a screwdriver, long metal, sharp at the end. It wasn't much, but it was something. She hid it under the rags in her cart, made sure it couldn't be seen. Then she drove to the estate. One last time. The house was dark when she arrived. 10 o'clock, 2 hours until midnight. Lorenzo's car was parked in the driveway. She could see lights on inside. He was here, waiting. Cynthia sat in her car for 10 minutes, building up her courage, trying to figure out what she was going to do. She didn't have a plan, didn't have backup, didn't have anything except a screwdriver and a desperate hope that she could do something, anything, to help. Finally, she got out, grabbed her cart, walked to the front door. It opened before she could knock. Lorenzo stood there, looking at her like he'd been expecting her. I thought I told you to stay away, he said. I needed to get my things. My supplies. I left them here last week. Cynthia gestured to her cart. I'll just grab them and go. Lorenzo studied her face, looking for lies. You have 5 minutes. He stepped aside. Let her in. Cynthia pushed her cart through the hallway. Her heart was pounding so loud she was sure he could hear it. Where are you going? Lorenzo asked. The kitchen. That's where I left most of my stuff. The kitchen's that way. He pointed in the opposite direction. Right. Sorry. I'm just nervous. You make me nervous. Lorenzo smiled. Good. You should be nervous. But he didn't follow her. Just watched her walk toward the kitchen. Cynthia made it around the corner, out of his sight. Then she turned and headed straight for the basement door. Her hands fumbled with the handle. It was locked. Of course it was locked. She pulled out her keys, tried 3 different ones before finding the right one. The lock clicked open. She opened the door, started down the stairs. Cynthia, Lorenzo's voice, coming from the hallway. She moved faster, down the stairs, into the darkness. Cynthia, what are you doing? His footsteps, getting closer, coming to the basement door. She reached the bottom of the stairs, pulled out her flashlight, found Enrico in the corner. He looked worse than ever, barely conscious, his breathing shallow and ragged. Enrico, she whispered. I'm here. I'm going to get you out. His eyes opened, focused on her. Run, he said. He's coming. Run. Not without you. She pulled out the screwdriver, started working on the chains around his wrists. They were old, rusty, but still strong. What are you doing? Lorenzo's voice echoed down the stairs. Get away from him. Cynthia kept working. The screwdriver slipped, cut her hand. Blood dripped onto the floor. I said get away. Lorenzo was on the stairs now, coming down. You don't know what you're doing. You don't understand what he is. I understand he's a person. I understand he's dying. Cynthia's voice cracked. And I understand you're his brother. His own brother. And you're just going to let him die like an animal. Lorenzo reached the bottom of the stairs. He's not an animal. He's a monster. And monsters need to be put down. He's your family. Family. Lorenzo laughed. A cold, empty sound. You know what Enrico did to our family? He killed our uncle. Shot him in the head because he disagreed about a business deal. He burned down our cousin's house with him inside it. He tortured one of our own men for 3 days because he suspected him of stealing. He moved closer, That's who you're trying to save. That's the man you're risking your life for. Cynthia looked at Enrico, at his fever-bright eyes, at the tattoos covering his arm. Is it true? She asked. Enrico didn't answer right away. Then, slowly, he nodded. Yes, all of it. Her hands stopped moving. The screwdriver hung loose in her grip. I told you, Enrico said quietly. I told you I wasn't worth saving. Cynthia stared at him. At this man she'd risked everything for. This man who'd killed his own family, who'd tortured people, who was exactly what Lorenzo said he was. A monster. She should leave, should walk away, should let Lorenzo finish what he started. But then she looked at his face, really looked, and she saw something there. Something small, something broken. Regret. Those tattoos, she said. The roses. They're not just for people you loved. Are they? Enrico's jaw tightened. No, they're for people you killed. Some of them. Yes. Why? Why keep a reminder? So I never forget what I am. His voice was barely a whisper. So I remember every life I took, every person I destroyed. So I can never pretend to be anything other than a monster. Lorenzo grabbed Cynthia's arm, pulled her away from his brother. See? He admits it. He knows what he is. So stop trying to save him. Cynthia pulled her arm free. Maybe I'm not trying to save him. Maybe I'm trying to save you. Lorenzo froze. What? You kill him tonight. You become exactly what he is. You become a man who murders his own brother. She looked between them. Is that who you want to be? He would have killed me. But he didn't. You're still alive. Which means somewhere, somehow, he loved you enough to let you live. Cynthia's voice shook. Don't throw that away. Don't become him. For a long moment, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Then Lorenzo's phone rang. He looked at the screen. His face went pale. What? Cynthia asked. It's my security team. At the north gate. He looked up. Someone's coming. A lot of someone's. Enrico smiled. A real smile this time. Tomas. That's impossible. I have people watching him. He couldn't have. Tomas has been in this business for 50 years, Enrico said. You think he doesn't know how to move without being seen? Gunfire erupted outside. Loud. Close. Lorenzo looked at his brother. At Cynthia. At the basement stairs. We need to leave, he said. All of us. Now. I'm chained to a radiator, Enrico pointed out. Lorenzo pulled out a key. Threw it to Cynthia. Unlock him. Fast. More gunfire. Shouting. The sound of something exploding. Cynthia's hand shook as she unlocked the chains. They fell away. Enrico tried to stand. Collapsed. Lorenzo caught him. Put his brother's arm over his shoulder. Can you walk? He asked. Do I have a choice? The three of them started for the stairs. Cynthia leading. Lorenzo half carrying Enrico. They were halfway up when the basement door exploded inward. Wood splinters flew everywhere. Cynthia threw her arms over her face. The blast knocked her backward. She tumbled down 3 steps before catching herself on the railing. Smoke filled the stairwell. Thick and black. She couldn't see, couldn't breathe. Through the smoke came voices. Men shouting. Boots on the stairs. Target is in the basement. Move. Move. Not Tomas's men. Someone else. Lorenzo cursed. They're mine. My people. I told them to come at midnight. He looked at his brother. They're here to kill you. Then stop them, Enrico said through gritted teeth. They won't listen. I gave the order hours ago. They're just following through. 3 men emerged from the smoke. All wearing black. All carrying guns. The lead man had a scar across his forehead. He stopped when he saw Lorenzo. Boss, what are you doing down here? Change of plans, Lorenzo said. We're not killing him tonight. What? Scar forehead looked confused. But you said. I changed my mind. Stand down. The other 2 men looked at each other, then at their leader. Boss, we can't do that, Scar forehead said. You gave us direct orders. Eliminate the target by midnight. We're just doing what you told us. And now I'm telling you to stop. With all due respect, we have our orders. Scar forehead raised his gun, pointed it at Enrico. Nothing personal. Cynthia didn't think. She just moved. She grabbed her cleaning cart, the one she dragged down the stairs, the one with all her supplies. On the bottom shelf was a can of furniture polish, the pressurized kind, the kind that sprayed in a continuous stream. She snatched it up, shook it hard. aimed it at Scar Forehead's face, and pressed the button. White foam exploded from the can, hit him right in the eyes. He screamed, dropped his gun, fell backward into the other two men. Run! Cynthia yelled. Lorenzo didn't need to be told twice. He dragged Enrico back down the stairs, away from the men, into the darkness of the basement. Cynthia followed, her heart hammering in her chest. Behind them, Scar Forehead was cursing. I can't see. I can't see anything. Forget him, one of the other men said. Get the target. Footsteps pounded down the stairs. Lorenzo pulled Enrico behind the old water heater, the same place Cynthia had hidden before. It was cramped, barely enough room for 2 people, let alone 3. We're trapped, Enrico said. No way out. There has to be something, Cynthia said. She looked around desperately. The basement was dark, except for the light spilling down from the stairwell. Old boxes, broken furniture, dust and cobwebs. And there, in the far corner, a small window, boarded up, but still there. The window, she whispered. Can we get through it? It's too small, Lorenzo said, and it's boarded from the outside. So we unboard it. With what? Cynthia pulled the screwdriver from her pocket, the one she'd brought to break Enrico's chains. With this. Lorenzo stared at her. You're insane. You have a better idea? He didn't. The men were spreading out now, searching the basement. Their flashlights cut through the darkness. Getting closer. I see movement, one of them shouted. Near the water heater. A gunshot. The bullet hit the concrete wall above Cynthia's head. Chips of stone rained down. Lorenzo grabbed the screwdriver from her hand. Go to the window. Both of you. I'll hold them off. Ow! Enrico asked. Lorenzo didn't answer. He just stepped out from behind the water heater. The men's flashlights found him immediately. Boss, one of them said. What are you? Lorenzo punched him in the throat. The man went down gasping. The second man raised his gun. Lorenzo grabbed his wrist. Twisted. The gun fired into the ceiling. More concrete dust fell. They struggled, wrestling for control of the weapon. Cynthia didn't wait to see who won. She grabbed Enrico's arm, half-dragged him toward the corner window. He could barely walk. His legs kept giving out, but he pushed forward. One step, then another. They reached the window. Cynthia pulled at the boards. They were nailed tight. Wouldn't budge. Behind them, more gunfire. Someone screamed. Hurry, Enrico said. Cynthia wedged her fingers under one of the boards, pulled with all her strength. Her nails broke. Her fingers bled, but the board moved. Just a little. She pulled again. Harder. The nail squealed. The board came loose. Light from outside filtered in. Not much, but enough to see. She ripped off another board, then another. The window was small, maybe 2 feet wide, but might be enough. You first, Enrico said. You're hurt. You go. I can't fit through there. Not with this shoulder. He pushed her toward the window. Go. Get help. Find Tomas's men. Tell them where we are. I'm not leaving you. You have to. His eyes met hers. Serious. Urgent. If we all die here, this was for nothing. Everything you did. Everything you risked. It needs to mean something. More gunshots. Closer now. Cynthia looked at the window. At Enrico. At the chaos behind them. She made her choice. She climbed through the window. It was tight. Her shoulders barely fit. She had to wiggle and twist to get through. She fell onto grass on the other side. Cold. Wet. She scrambled to her feet. Above her, she could hear the fight continuing. Gunfire. Shouting. Breaking glass. She ran toward the front of the house. Toward the sounds of more fighting. Tomas's men were there. 5 of them. Maybe 6. Trading shots with Lorenzo's security team. Help. Cynthia screamed. They're in the basement. Lorenzo and Enrico are trapped. One of the men turned. Old. Gray hair. She recognized him. Tomas. Where? He shouted. Around back. There's a window. Tomas barked orders. 3 of his men broke off. Followed Cynthia as she ran back to the window. She pointed. Down there. They're down there. The men didn't hesitate. 2 of them kicked in the front door. Went in shooting. The third one helped Cynthia look through the basement window. Inside, she could see Lorenzo on the ground. Blood on his face. One of his own men standing over him. Gun pointed at his head. No! Cynthia screamed. The gunman looked up, saw her face in the window. That 1 second of distraction was all Enrico needed. He came out of nowhere, grabbed a piece of broken pipe from the floor, swung it like a baseball bat. It connected with the gunman's skull. A sick cracking sound. The man dropped. Lorenzo scrambled to his feet, looked around, saw his brother standing there, weak, bleeding, barely able to hold the pipe, but alive. "Thanks," Lorenzo said. "Don't mention it," Enrico replied. Then he collapsed. Tomas's men stormed into the basement from above, guns drawn, ready to fight. But the fight was over. Lorenzo's men were down, dead or unconscious. The basement was silent except for the sound of breathing. Tomas climbed through the window, walked over to Enrico, knelt beside him. "You look terrible," he said. Enrico managed a weak smile. "You should see the other guys." Tomas looked at Lorenzo, at the bodies of his men on the floor. "What happened here?" "I changed my mind," Lorenzo said, "about killing my brother. Little late for that, isn't it? Better late than never." Tomas stood, helped Enrico up. 2 of his men grabbed Enrico's arms, supported his weight. "We need to go," Tomas said. "Police will be here any minute. Someone definitely called about the gunfire." Lorenzo nodded. "Take him. Get him somewhere safe. What about you?" "I'll handle the police. Tell them it was a robbery gone wrong." Lorenzo looked at his brother. "Go, before I change my mind again." Enrico met his eyes. Something passed between them. Not forgiveness, not reconciliation, but understanding, acknowledgement. Then Tomas's men carried him up the stairs and out of the house. Cynthia stood there, in the grass, watching them load Enrico into a black van. Tomas walked over to her. "You saved his life. Multiple times. The family won't forget that." "I didn't do it for the family," Cynthia said. "I did it because it was right." "Right?" Tomas smiled. "That's a rare thing in our world." He handed her a card. "You ever need anything, anything at all, you call this number." Then he got in the van. The doors closed. The van drove away, and Cynthia stood there alone in the dark, covered in dirt and blood and sweat. Behind her, sirens wailed, getting closer. She walked to her car, got in, started the engine. She had to go see Priya, had to make sure her sister was safe, had to go back to her normal life, her quiet life, her safe life, if that was even possible anymore. 3 weeks passed. 3 weeks of Cynthia looking over her shoulder everywhere she went. 3 weeks of jumping at every sound. 3 weeks of waiting for something terrible to happen. But nothing did. Lorenzo didn't come after her. His men didn't show up at her door. The police never called to ask questions about the shooting at the estate. It was like that night had never happened. Cynthia went back to cleaning houses. Different houses now. Safer houses. She avoided anything that looked too big or too empty or too expensive. She visited Priya every day. Her sister was getting stronger. The new treatment was working. The doctors said she might be able to come home in a month. That was the only good thing to come out of all this. Priya was getting better. Cynthia was in the middle of mopping a kitchen floor when her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. "Hello. Cynthia Lucchese?" A woman's voice. Professional. Polite. "Yes. Someone would like to meet with you. Tonight. 7 o'clock. There's a restaurant called Bella Vista on the west side. Do you know it?" "Who is this?" "A friend. Someone you helped. He'd like to thank you properly." The line went dead. Cynthia stared at her phone. Her heart was racing. Enrico. It had to be. She thought about not going. Thought about ignoring the call. Going home. Forgetting the whole thing. But she couldn't. She needed to know if he was okay. Needed to see for herself that all of it had been worth something. So at 6:30 that evening, she took the bus to the west side. Found a restaurant. It was small. Quiet. The kind of place where people went to have private conversations. She walked in. A hostess greeted her with a smile. "Name?" "Cynthia Lucchese." "Ah, yes. Right this way." The hostess led her through the restaurant. Past tables of couples eating dinner. Past the bar where a few men sat drinking wine. To a private room in the back. The hostess opened the door. "Enjoy your evening." Cynthia stepped inside. Enrico sat at a table in the center of the room. He looked different. Clean. Healthy. His hair was cut short. His beard was trimmed. He wore a dark shirt and pants that actually fit him. The bruises on his face had faded. The wound on his shoulder was bandaged but healing. He looked like a different person, like the man he'd been before Lorenzo locked him in that basement. Cynthia, he stood up when he saw her, gestured to the empty chair across from him. Please, sit. She sat. Her hand was shaking. She clasped him in her lap so he wouldn't see. You look good, she said. Better. I feel better. Thanks to you. He poured her a glass of water from a pitcher on the table. The doctor said another week in those chains and the infection would have killed me. You saved my life. I just did what anyone would do. No. His voice was firm. That's not true. Most people would have walked away, would have called the police, would have protected themselves. He leaned forward. You risked everything. Your job, your freedom, your sister's safety. All for a stranger. All for someone you had no reason to trust. Cynthia didn't know what to say to that. Why? Enrico asked. Why did you do it? She thought about it. Really thought about it. Because I couldn't live with myself if I didn't. Because leaving someone to die when you can save them, that's not something I could carry around. Enrico nodded slowly. You're a good person, Cynthia. Better than anyone I've ever known. I'm not that good. I broke into a clinic, stole medicine, lied to everyone. You did those things to save a life. That makes them good. He reached into his pocket, pulled out an envelope, set it on the table between them. I want to give you something. To thank you. Cynthia looked at the envelope. I don't want money. It's not money. Open it. She picked up the envelope. Opened it carefully. Inside was a piece of paper, official looking, with a hospital logo at the top. She read it, then read it again. Her hands started shaking harder. What is this? She whispered. It's a letter from Metro General Hospital, confirming that all of Priya's medical bills have been paid in full. Past, present, and future. Everything she needs. For as long as she needs it. Cynthia's vision blurred. Tears ran down her cheeks. I can't accept this. It's too much. You saved my life. This is the least I can do. But the bills, they're hundreds of thousands of dollars. Maybe millions. Money I have. A life I only have one of. Enrico's voice was soft. And you gave it back to me. So please, let me do this. Let me help your sister the way you helped me. Cynthia couldn't speak. Could barely breathe. All this time. All these months of working 3 jobs and scraping by and wondering how she'd ever afford Priya's next treatment. And now it was done. All of it. Paid for. Thank you, she finally managed. Thank you so much. There's something else. Enrico pulled out another envelope. This is the deed to a house. Small. 3 bedrooms. In a good neighborhood with good schools. Close to the hospital so Priya can get to her appointments easily. I can't. You can. And you will. He pushed it across the table. You're not living in that apartment anymore. It's not safe. Lorenzo knows where you live. Other people know too. People who might want to use you to get to me. Cynthia's stomach tightened. Are we in danger? Not right now. Lorenzo and I have reached an understanding. He stays on his side. I stay on mine. We leave each other alone. Enrico paused. But that doesn't mean you're completely safe. There are other families. Other enemies. People who might see you as a way to hurt me. So what do? You move into the house. You let my people keep an eye on you. Not following you. Not watching your every move. Just making sure no one bothers you. He met her eyes. I know it's not the normal life you wanted, but it's the best I can offer. Cynthia looked at the 2 envelopes. At the man sitting across from her. At the life he was offering. It wasn't normal. Wasn't safe. Wasn't simple. But Priya would be taken care of. That was all that mattered. Okay, she said. Okay. Enrico smiled. A real smile. The first one she'd ever seen from him. Good. They sat there for a moment. Just sat. Not talking. Not needing to. Then Enrico stood. I should go. I have meetings. Business to handle. He walked around the table. Stopped in front of her. You're not my maid, Cynthia. You never were. You're my savior. And I don't forget the people who saved me. He left the room before she could respond. Cynthia sat there alone, the 2 envelopes in front of her. Her whole life changed in the span of 5 minutes. She picked them up, held them to her chest. Then she left the restaurant and took the bus to the hospital to tell Priya the good news, that they were going to be okay, that everything was going to be okay. For the first time in 3 years, Cynthia actually believed it. 2 months later, Priya came home. Not to the old apartment. To the new house. The one Enrico had bought them. It had a big backyard where Priya could sit in the sun. A kitchen with new appliances. Bedrooms with soft beds and clean sheets. It felt like a dream. Cynthia stood in the doorway, watching her sister explore their new home. Watching her smile. Watching her laugh. This was worth it. All of it. Every risk. Every danger. Every sleepless night. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Thank you again. For everything. Stay safe. Cynthia smiled. Deleted the message. Put her phone away. She wasn't invisible anymore. Wasn't just a maid cleaning up other people's messes. She was someone who'd saved a life. Someone who'd stood up when it mattered. Someone who'd looked danger in the face and decided to be brave anyway. And that was something no one could ever take away from her.
Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as you can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.